Test, 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 video sound, test, test, test. Our camera went tumbling to the tile floor at our Airbnb, shattering the LCD screen on the camera. So today is our last full day in Florence, and we have a lot of ground to cover, but I've got to be honest, today has gotten off to a bummer of a start. So I started my day, as I do every morning, by cleaning up our camera, our lenses, the filters, and all of those things to get us ready for the day. And we've had a little trouble with the tripod we bought, which is supposed to be the latest and greatest tripod for travel in the world. It's not. So we took a spill the other day with the camera popping off the tripod, and this morning as I was cleaning the camera, it happened again from the top of my 6'2" frame. And our camera went tumbling to the tile floor at our Airbnb, shattering the LCD screen on the camera. Luckily, it appears to still be working, and I think the repair will be covered under our Canon warranty. So we'll hope for that when we get home, but really we're just hoping the camera continues to function until our trip ends, so we can continue to shoot video and get the vlogs in order for you guys.
Yesterday we spent a good portion of our time, about 5 hours, in a Tuscan cooking class, and only got to see a couple museums yesterday. So I've just had a cream-filled croissant, and our next stop is to start hitting all of the other 40 or so museums here in Florence by starting with the ever-popular Uffizi Museum.
Yeah, so we'll look for some redemption after the broken camera incident, and we're usually pretty good at recovering from crappy starts to the day, so we'll hope for that today. Let's go check it out. Heed this advice. There are people around trying to basically con you into getting them to help you get inside the doors, and then they'll want money from you. So talk to the register staff only.
Gallery is a collection of medieval and Renaissance art. So it starts with some of the medieval art where everything's gold, everything's flat, and transitions to those 3D realistic paintings that everyone falls in love with. It's about to be hit by a Segway. Okay. So like I said, we've got some great artists in there. So now we're on to the Bargello Museum to see some more art. Florence is famous for a tripe sandwich, and if you don't know what tripe is, that's a cow's stomach. So we debated whether or not we wanted to test it out. But we'd already had one of the best sandwiches we've had in our entire lives at Landlocked, so we decided to go back for those sandwiches instead.
Something I don't understand is why in the US a Subway sandwich costs $5, about the same as this sandwich. You get meat that was sliced in a factory, bread that was frozen and baked. And here you get cured meats that are hanging from the ceiling with cheese that was made a few cities over and bread that is coming out hot and fresh baked in the back. It just doesn't make good sense.
So Florence has a never-ending list of options for going and seeing art museums, and has an amazing collection of pretty much anything that you can imagine from medieval and Renaissance times, thanks to powerful families like the Medicis collecting all these things and taking in artists like Michelangelo. We just finished a quick tour of the Medici chapels to see some more of Michelangelo's work, but we're getting a little tired of art. It's starting to kind of all run together. So now that we're full of lunch and have taken in about 4 to 5 hours of masterpieces of art, we're gonna go check out some signs.
So we came back to the apartment for a little rest and relaxation this afternoon. We've walked a ton. over 10 miles pretty much every day that we've been in Italy, so we're just taking a few hours to recharge a little bit and rest our feet. Now, before we head back out, we're going to get a little energy boost with a shot of espresso. And one thing I've learned, and one skill I've learned while in Italy, is how to use a mocha pot. When I first saw this, I had no idea what a mocha pot was. Good espresso comes out, so I think I'm using it right. So a mocha pot is a pretty simple little device if you've never used one. Maybe everybody's used one, but I felt like maybe I should offer an explanation because I think I'm going to order one when I get home, and I'd never seen one in the States. But it's a 2 or 3 compartment chamber, but the first thing you do is screw off the bottom here, and you have a little filter here and a chamber in the bottom, and this chamber needs to be filled with water. And then you put your filter back in, and then the chamber needs to be filled with espresso. So my understanding is that unlike an espresso machine, you do not need to hard pack this espresso in here. And then reattach the top pot, and you'll see here this top piece has a little spout in it, so basically as you heat the pot, the espresso will brew and bubble up through this hole, and that's pretty much the process. So we'll screw that back on, and then you heat on medium-low, I believe, is the suggested temperature.
We are now heavily caffeinated with our shots of espresso and ready to hit the town once again to find some good food for dinner, and Florence has a lot to offer.
Yeah, so we've hit our pocketbook pretty hard this week so far, so we're going to go for a cheaper option tonight and check out the Central Market. Now the Central Market has an actual morning produce and meat and fish market that closes, I believe, around 11 or 12, but they have a second floor that has food stands that remain open until midnight each night.
So I don't know if we're gonna find basic items like pizza or pasta or something like the tripe sandwich that we've heard a lot about. So I guess we'll have to just wait and see what we discover. So one thing we've figured out about Florence is that the sidewalks are very, very narrow and the cars are very, very close.
So this is a gnocchi that is stuffed with provolone and sausage with a tomato sauce and a little Parmesan on top. This market hall is the same market that we had a tour in downstairs for our cooking class. I don't think we made that clear earlier. So the downstairs is the area that we took you through the other day, and now the upstairs is the food hall. Bite number 1. Oh yeah. It's a little spicy, super soft gnocchi, nice sauce. Real good.
We're now on our second course after we polished off a plate of gnocchi, and we've gone with more of a Sicilian dish, which is arancini, which is a rice ball, and in this case, it's stuffed with ham. Darren asked the place which was their favorite, and they said ham, so let's give this a try. Took too big of a bite. It's really good. I've had arancini a couple times in the States, and it just falls apart, but this is well compacted and well fried. Our final selection is not very Italian, but they were making pork dumplings and they looked amazing. So we're going to take a little break.
So that was a success.
We ate 3 different varieties of food, some pasta and arancini, some dumplings, which aren't Italian, but we spent, what, about 20 euros?
Yeah, 25 euros total.
Which is the cheapest meal that we pulled off so far, because...
For a dinner.
Yeah, for dinner. Because Florentine bistecca is not cheap. So now that we have our bellies full, we're going to try to go climb another tower and get an amazing night view of the city.
Yeah, we're headed to the Palazzo Vecchio, which we'll look up some history and tell you about that when we get there because I've kind of forgotten it since we looked it up.
height of the Florence Republic, the Palazzo Vecchio served as the town hall where all of the democratic debates were taking place. When the Medici family finally took over, they made it their own palace, so it's very ornate inside.
Yeah, there is a Michelangelo piece as well as a Donatello piece, so it's definitely worth checking out. Right now we're standing in the square in front of the Palazzo Vecchio, in front of the David replica, which is right behind us there. Of course, the original is now in the Accademia, or Accademia, however you pronounce that, which is across town, which we showed you the other day.
We were most excited about climbing the tower,
Which is all the way up there.
It's over 300 feet and supposed to give you an incredible view of the Duomo, but the Palazzo Vecchio is one of the few attractions that's open late at night. It stays open to about 11 o'clock at night, and we were hoping to go into the tower after dark, but we just learned that the tower closed at 8, so that's not going to happen. So I guess that means all we have left for tonight is gelato.
Gelato is big business here in Florence, as you may well know.
We eat it like 2 or 3 times a day.
Yeah. When you're seeking out where to buy your gelato from, there are a couple things you need to really know. One is if you come across a place that has really artificial looking colors, don't eat it. 2, if you come across a place that has mountain piled high gelato in their cases, don't eat it.
So gelato should be pale colors. For example, pistachios are not bright green. The actual nut itself is kind of a pale green, almost brown color. And gelato itself isn't like very strong, so it should be kind of a flat case.
Right, yeah, so if it's standing up on its own, then it's A, being kept too cold, and B, is probably not made with real ingredients that typical real artisan gelato is made with. So we're standing outside of a place that's an example of where not to eat, and we're going to try to snap a quick shot of what their gelato case looks like on the way by. So that, don't eat it. We learned that if you see that, usually they're getting like a base mix, and then they're running it through an ice cream machine or a gelato machine, and then they're just adding artificial flavors to it. So if you see something in one of those places that's strawberry, it's probably just a base mix with strawberry syrup of some sort added rather than actual fresh strawberries to make a true fresh strawberry gelato.
Do not eat bad gelato, people. We see so many people eating bad gelato. It's too great of a thing to be doing wrong.
Goodbye sandwiches. I'll miss you. Buzzing Street.
There's a lot of debate over what's the best gelato here in Florence, and we tried out a different place last night. We are back at our favorite, Gelateria di Neri.
I think something that you have to try at least once is the Fior di Latte, which is just sweetened cream or sweetened milk. It's literally milk, cream, and sugar, and that's it. But if it's made right, it's super pure, it's super sweet, super good. It's a good place to start. Oh, there's one that we tried the other day. It's ricotta and pistachio. So the gelato itself is ricotta cheese flavored, but it has almost like a fondant or a marzipan topping that's pistachio flavored, so it's super thick and super rich on top of the ricotta gelato. That's definitely worth a try as well.
It's all gone. It's all gone.
Gelato is in the belly, and we're wrapping up tonight's vlog and our final vlog from Florence.
We love to travel, and we love to find new places to go. We're always researching random countries. We came back to Italy, which isn't a random country, because we saw just a tiny, tiny piece of it about 5 years ago and fell in love and decided we needed to come back and fully embrace the chaos. And there's been a lot of chaos so far, but there's also been some amazing food.
We've been to some places that I would have considered off the grid a little bit, and we found them very easy to travel in. Italy has been a challenge. It is chaotic, it is crowded. It definitely has its own regimented way of doing things while being completely crazy and chaotic at the same time.
This is our last night in Florence, and I'm a little sad to leave, but excited to get out to the more wide open spaces of Italy and to see the countryside. We've taken in more art than I think I could ever. We got a Firenze pass, so it's a 72-hour pass to get into all the museums here in Florence. And we tried to get our money's worth today and see as many museums as possible. So I have so many masterpieces of art, Michelangelo, Donatello, running through my head. But I'm excited to do some maybe more active experiences away from so many people. But we've got to figure out how to get from Florence to Siena. We've planned much of our trip out, a lot of the minor details of the trip, and we're excited to be staying at a farmhouse outside of Siena, but we don't know how we're going to get there, so we've got to figure that out tonight.
Train or bus? That is the question. We will figure that out tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.